I mean, one of my roles, welcome back. But one of my roles over at Draft Prospect Hockey is, you know, it's a pretty prominent role, NCAA college scouting. And and the first two scouting reports were pretty easy. Like Gavin McKenna, Keaton Verahoff, I really didn't need much help for those
You
reports,
know?
but it's like Landon Nycz is a different story, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because I'm higher on him than the consensus is. I don't know if he's a number one defenseman like Verahoff, but I think his ceiling is probably a number two defenseman on a top line. And there's people that think he's a second line guy like Tankathon, and there's Lines has him in the third round, Edmonton at 96. They think he's a bottom pairing guy. So his draft grade is going to be all over the place because there's a way more variance with him than somebody like Verahoff, where you know what you're getting. That's the only. I would say that's the only. There are a few criticisms in his game. Like I think his shooting's got to improve. I'm glad to see his wrist shot improved, and there were some other things that
No, from what I was able to ascertain, and I watched quite a bit of tape on him, and it looks like he needs to work on his outlet pass, and his transition game is not quite. You know what I mean? It's not quite there,
yeah.
right? And but I think that can be coached.
I agree. He can learn that, master that. He can learn that while he's at UMass, and he can master that with a year or two in the AHL, and then he'll be
E-
ready.
Exactly. I also think that he's able to recover with speed. When he makes a mistake, he's able to recover with speed. You know what I'm saying? So you want to try to cut back on the mistakes so he doesn't have to recover. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Right. But as far as like what you said, I really do like his wrist shot. That looked really good. Everything that I've seen on him said that's a really powerful NHL wrist shot that he's got. Um, he he's got a big body. You know what I mean? He's 6'3" and 200 pounds. He's got an NHL body, but he needs to play into that a little more
I
as
agree.
a defenseman.
For
You know what I
strength,
mean?
I put face off, release, because he's got a very quick release when shooting the puck. Physicality, because he hits hard, and skating. Those were my strengths for Landon Nyes. My
Yeah, he's
weaknesses
not
were,
afraid to be hit, and he's not afraid to hit.
yeah, weaknesses I put were shooting with slap shots and the transition game. Those were the two weaknesses I put, and I think we pretty much agree on that respect of his game.
Yeah. As far as that's concerned, what's going to really help him as well, he sees the ice really well. He's got
Yeah,
anticipation. Okay. And he's a plus 13. Okay. So for a defenseman being on the plus side all day long, that's good for me. I'm
yeah,
I'm I'm, I'm happy with that. You know what I'm saying? If you're on the plus side, sorry about the dog. She agrees. That if you're on the plus side, especially as a defenseman, that means you're doing something right. You know what I mean? So I like that from him. He's got, in 3 games played so far, he's got 1 goal and he's a plus 2. So that's a small body of work. But from last year, right, with 56 games played combined, because he started off with the Waterloo Blackhawks
yep.
and then mid-season got traded to the Sioux City Musketeers. So that tells you something about how good this kid is, the fact that he got traded mid-season, as
Yeah,
far as I'm concerned. You know
and
what I mean?
I
So,
agree. And when I was doing the summer tapes for the 2026 NHL draft by watching, this is before I had Instat. I was watching prospect shifts. There were only two defensemen that went 2 periods without giving up a goal. One of them was
he plays a lot of minutes. He plays a lot of minutes.
one of them was Keaton Verahoff. The other was Landon Nyes.
Yeah. And Landon Nycz plays a lot of minutes too. Do you know what I
And
mean?
I saw how bad Sioux City was without Landon Nyes. Let me tell you, they gave up 8 goals to Dubuque at the Dubuque is the USHL Fall Classic. 8 goals to the Dubuque Fighting Saints.
Yeah. Yeah, that's and when he got to Sioux City Musketeers, their defense massively improved.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a -2 right at Waterloo, and then he was a +15
Sioux City.
at Sioux City, right? He got 8 goals, 19 assists for 29 points, but he finished the year plus with the Musketeers compared to with, you know what I mean? So I, I'm really liking where this kid is going. I do agree with you on this, Chris. I think he's got some good ceiling. You know, like we haven't seen his best yet,
Yeah.
right? And UMass is going to help because he's going to play with some really good talent and against good talent. He's going to play against good talent. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm
Especially
saying.
at that level, right? Now he's going to be playing with guys that are the same size as him. And I'm going to be interested to see how he uses his body as a defender now that he's playing guys that are the same size as him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
interesting because his draft range is all over the place. I had him at 21 of the Boston Bruins with Toronto's second round pick. Tankathon has him at 57 of the Blackhawks with Toronto's second round pick. And Lines has him to Edmonton at 96 with their third round pick.
I
I might be too high on him, but I think the other sites are too low on him as well.
third round I think is too low for Landon.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking he's going to probably be one of the first guys on the second day.
Yeah.
In the second round. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of where I see him.
Yeah.
Because with some of the other players that are defenders that are, playing at the same level as him, I think he's not quite there yet to be a first rounder. You know what I mean? And we all know that defensemen take longer to develop, and he's going to be one of those guys that he's going to need a couple years, like you said, finishing up at UMass and a couple years down at the AHL level before he's going to be ready to play at the NHL level. But I think he's got all the tools.
So do I. And that's partially why I mocked him in the late first round. I didn't mock him inside the top 20. I put him at 21 because there's still work to be done.
Just a bit outside.
Yeah. And he might
Okay.
fall to the second round or the third round. It's possible. And it's also possible that a playoff team like an Edmonton or a Dallas or a Colorado, if they get a chance to draft this guy, they end up getting first round value looking back on things 5 years from now.
See, that's the thing, right? We look at him and think we're basing it just purely on skills and what he's got on tape so far, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're basing it on. But we're not an NHL team that's going, man, we really need some defensemen. Right? So this kid fits this kid crosses off a lot of the boxes for a lot of the NHL teams. He's got size. He skates well for his size and for a defenseman. Right? He's not afraid to hit. He's not afraid to be hit. He's got a really good shot, not just a wrister, but from the point. And he's got good anticipation, good vision, good smarts. He plays smart in his end. That was one of the keys that I put down on my notes, that he plays really smart in his end. That's why he's a plus player.
I agree with you on that.
I mean, so I'm taking this kid second round all day, and I'm letting him finish at UMass, and then I put him down in the AHL. But one man's second rounder might be another man's first rounder, right?
Yeah, and there's going to be variance with this player. I cannot emphasize that enough. If 3 different draft sites have 3 different grades on him, there's not a lot of congruency. And the 21's a little too high for Ron, but 57 and 96 feels a little too low. So I had a feeling you were going to go somewhere in the middle of that, and you did with the early second round grade.
See, that's pretty. Do you pick lottery numbers, man?
No, I don't.
By any chance, can you? Would you?
Numbers are 27, 33, 57, and 96.
I love it. But no, but that just goes to show you that we're kind of on the same page with this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we kind of feel that, but like I said, it's all going to depend on what teams want. And although he's not a coveted right-hand shot defenseman, he's a left-hand shot defenseman. You still need you
He's
still
got
need those guys.
experience on both sides of the blue line. He's played left defenseman and right defenseman. I don't think people realize how valuable that is to NHL teams.
If you can do both, if you're that ambidextrous that you can do both, then you're absolutely right. Then that potentially could raise his stock. It's all going to depend on the kind of year he has.
I agree
If
with
he
that.
finishes with a plus year, he's put up a couple goals, couple assists. He's not that offensive defenseman. He is a defensive defenseman. He's one of those guys. What you need one of those guys on your team to, like, when the puck comes to his stick, the game slows down, right? And the game comes to him. He's able to dictate. I see that as his ceiling, as one of those type of players where he's going to be that kind of defenseman where he gets the puck on his stick and the game's going to slow down to where he decides he's going to go with it.
Yeah, definitely. I look at him, I see somebody with a skill set of a Jacob Slavin, a Shea Fedor, maybe a Devin Taves in Colorado. That's the type of player I see with Landon Nycz.
Yeah, I was going to say him. Uh, I like that comparison. You know what I mean? But like I said, he's a shutdown type of defenseman, or not a shutdown, but a stay-at-home type of defenseman. He's like he plays really smart in his end. Okay. And that means that he's going to be the second pairing or the second guy on the top pairing. He's not going to be that first guy because
Yeah.
until he learns that transition game and until he learns better outlet passes and better decisions on that, he's not going to be that top
Yeah,
that
his
top
ceiling's
guy.
a complimentary number 2 defenseman on a second line. You could argue his floor is a number 4 defenseman on a second line.
Right.
His ceiling's a number 1 defenseman on a first line. But when he finishes developing, he's probably going to reach number 2 on a first line, complimentary.
Yeah, I like that as for him. If you force him to be the number one guy, you're gonna run into problems. But if you make him as a complimentary,
That was the
then
thing I had with Noah Hannafin coming out of Boston College. I felt like he could be a really good number 3, and maybe he could develop into a good complementary number 2 guy, but I never felt he was a number 1. I felt like Provorov and Werenski were number 1s in that draft, and people thought I was crazy because that was the McDavid draft.
yeah, but I got to be honest with you. I think Provorov is more because I got to watch him play in Philly for a number of years, and quite frankly, I think he works best as a complimentary.
That's fair.
And I also don't like him on the power play. He is not a quarterback on the power play, and they tried and tried and tried to do that, and he's just not. And that's not a knock against him because he's a really good defenseman. You know what I'm saying? He's got good skating and everything else like that, but he is not the quarterback of your power play. You know what I'm saying? So
Provorov may have been a good quarterback on the power play at the CHL level, but he wasn't at the NHL level. That's the big thing.
I'll buy that. I'll buy that all day. I'll buy that all day. Yep, I'll buy that all day because he played really well in his junior leagues and everything else like
Yeah,
that.
he was a great quarterback on the power play in the CHL. I think he played for the Brandon Wheat Kings. I could be wrong on that. I think that
Uh,
was his junior team, Brandon Wheat Kings.
we'll have to. Hey, reach out to our crack research staff to check that out.
I'll Google it right now, find out exactly where I remember he was drafted 7th overall,
Right.
and yeah, yep.
Is he?
So he played for the Cedar Rapid Rough Riders, and then the Brandon Wheat Kings got him in the CHL import draft.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay. All right.
it was
I
the
knew
Wheat
he
Kings.
was. I knew he had played in the United States for a minute because when he first came
Yeah,
over here, yeah, he was in. When he first came over here, I believe he was in Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah, but that's interesting. The bio for Provorov says his favorite movie growing up was Gladiator with Russell Crowe.
Okay. Do you see he's got his dog now? He does his dog. Provorov puts his dog out there. Like he bought him as a puppy, and he took him out on the ice when he does his workouts on the ice, and the dog loves to go out on the ice, and his dog has
Yeah.
his own account now, I guess. So all right, whatever. But getting swinging back to Landon,
Yep.
um, I think what's really going to define him is how well he does this year. If he has a good year, then he's going to be in the upper second rounds. If he just has kind of a meh year, then I think you're going to be talking, and that's why I think there's such a huge swing in where places are putting him as far as where he's going to be drafted. Because if he just continues to build and build and build and build and has a really good year statistically, finishes in the plus, maybe has, more than 25 points for the season, then yeah, he's going to be in the upper second round. But if
Yeah, I think his plus minus ratio fell from +3 to +1, but that's because UMass played Northeastern and Northeastern won that game 4-1 last night.
and that was yeah, I saw some part of that. I was also watching uh the Boston Michigan State.
Boston U Michigan State game.
Yeah, yeah.
That was on ESPN2 last night, I think.
Yeah, I think so. That's the game that I was watching last night was that one. Yeah, because I couldn't get
Yep.
the Penn State game. Like, go figure, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But
Yeah, the Big Ten Network was airing, I think they were airing volleyball, field hockey, and they were airing
hockey.
men's soccer.
Yeah, they were doing field hockey. I'm like, what? No, you got the wrong hockey in there, guys. You got the wrong hockey.
Yeah, and the Big Ten Network, they're gonna air Ohio State, Maryland, Ohio State soccer instead of a college football game at noon. I don't know what the heck the Big Ten Network has been doing as of lately, but it just feels like they're setting themselves up for failure in the ratings.
Well, when you witness, okay, we're going to get off on a tangent here, but when you witness the downfall of Penn State, that was one of the big things propping up the Big Ten, if you must know.
Penn State football, Penn State hockey were both propping up the Big Ten. You're absolutely correct.
And I'm not saying that to try to be a homer. Okay, I'm really not. But there was so much hype going into both Penn State teams this season. The football team, especially after making a deep run in the playoffs last year, bringing almost everybody back, right?
Yeah, we had like 9 or 10 players on Penn State's football team with Pro Bowl grades entering the preseason, which was the most by any college football team since Texas in 04, 05 or USC in 04. And
Exactly.
those
Right?
so that's the type of talent Penn State had. So for them to be 3-3 and fire James Franklin, that really says something about the current state of the program.
3 and 4. Are they 3 and
I
4
think
or 3 and
I
3?
think they're 3-3.
Okay.
They lost to Northwestern, they lost to
UCLA.
UCLA, and they lost to Oregon.
Okay. Okay. That's been James Franklin's crux ever since he started coaching at Penn State. He has not been able to he beat one ranked team, one. I'm sorry, two. Out of the 12 or 13 games that he's played against ranked teams, he's only won two. That's not going to get it done. When you're coming from the lineage that Penn State came from, where they were perennially in top bowl games or fighting for national championships or going undefeateds or whatever, that was not that was not the identity of Penn State. They were powerhouse, right? They were part of the powerhouse group of college teams that when they were in a bowl game, they were pretty much going to win.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the case anymore now. Ever since Franklin and ever since Joe Paterno has left or has passed on, Penn State has not been able to have a decent football coach that's been able to get them to where they want to go, and that's hoisting that national championship, and they haven't been able to do it. And they weren't ever going to be able to do it with James Franklin. Okay. Now, switching gears, the hockey team did the exact same thing last year. They made it to the Frozen Four and lost. They got housed. Okay. They came back this year with a number 1 pick in Jackson Smith, who, by the way, has been playing stellar since he missed the first 2 games with Penn State, has been playing really well, right? Number 1 first round draft pick. First time ever Penn State's had a first round pick on their team with Jackson Smith. Then you get the kid that's probably going to be the consensus number 1 pick for this next draft in Gavin McKenna. Right? And you team that with the kids, most of them are coming back. Aiden Fink and DeMarsico and all. I mean, come on. Penn State is stacked, right? And then they come out and lose to Clarkson. Whoops. Ooh, that was a bump in the road. But man, Penn State hockey looks like they're the real deal.
Yes.
So there you go. There's my tangent. All right, I'm getting off my box now.
Yeah, I'm just seeing what other games, what's going to be the toughest game left on the schedule for Landon Nycz real quickly before we sign off. So they're playing Bentley tonight after playing UMass after on October 31st on Halloween. They got to play. That's going to be a tough 2-game series against number 18 Cornell. And then they play Maine. Then they play Maine after that. And then they go on the road. Then they do a away and home series with Boston College. So that is
Maine's no slouch neither. Right. Maine is no slouch neither. They were in the semifinals in the Frozen Four last year. So Maine is no slouch. That's going to be some tough road to hoe for them.
They got to play Boston U, who's currently the number 1 team in hockey in January 9th.
Well, maybe not now after they lost to Michigan State.
Yeah, these rankings clearly aren't updated as of
because they lost to Michigan State last night. I think it was 4-2 or 4-1 or something like that. I think that's the score was, but yeah. Man, I'll tell you what, dude. We got to talk about a really good kid here. I think Landon's he's got a good ceiling. I think we both agree he's somewhere in the second round at best. If he has a
I still have him in the late
first.
I don't think he's one of the top 6 defensemen. I think the top 6 defensemen in this draft could all go in the top half of the draft. They reach their ceilings. I have him at number 7. I have him as my 7th best defenseman, but I have him at 21, which means anything after the top 20 is a late first round grade for me. So even though I do have a first round grade on him, I have a late first on him. And he could slip the early second. With this schedule, he could slip the early second if he continues to lose to ranked teams, because he's got to play Cornell, got to play Maine, got to play Boston U, Boston College, Providence.
Like I said, if he does well,
no cakewalk. This schedule's no cakewalk. If he dominates the majority of those games, he could easily end up going in the late first round. If he struggles in those games, he could go to where Ron's projecting in the second. He could fall a little bit, maybe even to where Tankathon has him at 57. Or I don't think he'll fall to 96 where Ryan.
Unless he tanks this year.
I don't think he's that bad of a prospect to where
I don't either.
He will fall that far.
Yeah, I don't either. Unless he unless he gets injured and he doesn't play. That would be the only thing I think that would put him in the third round. Otherwise, I think he's second round all day, no matter what.
Yeah. I'm in agreement with that. I don't see him falling to the third round. But yeah, if I'm the Dallas Stars, this is the number 1 player in college hockey that I'm looking at with that second round pick. And I don't even think he's going to fall that far in the second round.
Probably not.
He does fall the second round.
Yeah, probably not.
Odds are he probably won't fall that far.
For sure, man. Thank you very much for having me on, brother. I'm glad we got to talk about this guy. He was a really
Glad we got to talk about Landon Nycz as well. I'm gonna finish typing up the scouting report of him and
awesome.
enjoy your trip to Youngstown.
Yeah,
I know
man.
you're gonna have a lot of fun talk and watch the goalie on Youngstown because I'm serious. The goalie on Youngstown, he had a 33 save shutout at the UPMC Mario Lemieux Sports Complex. The goalie on the Youngstown Phantoms that I told you
Yep,
about.
yep. Oh, trust me, I have a list of players that I'm going to be looking at because they're going to be playing against the Green Bay Gamblers, right? So
Yeah,
there's quite a few
and the
players
Green
on.
Bay Gamblers have a pretty good center as
You're
well.
right, right. So
That's in this year's NHL
I'll
draft.
be taking out the I'll be breaking out the camera, that's for sure, and focusing in on some of those players, and I'll be definitely taking a look at the goalie for Youngstown for sure. Thank you very much for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
And Jack Hextall too, but you already do that.
Yeah, buddy. They told me that they were gonna make sure that I got to ask him some questions tonight.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear
Yeah.
that, Ron.
So we're gonna see. I got my questions ready to go. So we're gonna be at the press conference and everything after that game, and we'll have some pictures and we'll have a report after that for sure for you guys coming out here real soon. Follow me on X at RNJ underscore media. Thank you all very much for having me on, Chris. I really appreciate this, man. I love talking hockey, and anytime I get a chance to talk about prospects, man, sign me up.
Sounds good, Ron. Enjoy your trip to the Youngstown.
Thanks, brother. Have a good one. Hey, by the way, folks, you got to hop on over to Draft Prospect Hockey. Check out the new draft simulator that they got there. All the great articles that's out there. There's a lot of great coverage
Yep.
out there. You got to check
That
that out.
simulator is incredible. I played it. I got to see Anthony design it on a Zoom call
Oh,
yesterday. It
were
was
you?
like a
Okay.
2-3 hour
Okay.
Zoom call.
Okay.
It's pretty awesome.
Nice. He wanted to do that with me, but I was on my way out of town to Italy. So there's an Italy now that they put in Philadelphia, and I was headed to there, or I would have been on that call with you. So, because I talked to him first in the morning and told him everything and what was going on and everything, and then so yeah. But man, you got to hop on over there with everything that's going on. Draft Prospect Hockey, check that out. Also, get signed up for Draft Utopia, man. DraftUtopia.com got all the greatest stuff, man. They do every single draft for
Yeah,
every single
we've got an
sport.
MLS draft simulator up, but we're only in the early prototype phases of that. And the AI that Anthony found was better than the AI that I used, so I still have some stuff I got to tweak.
Well, from what I understand, he forked a little cheddar for it. Not much, but a little. Like $20, I think he told me.
Yeah, I've got some Claude code as well, but I got it for free without having to pay. I think there's like a $17-20 a month account
Oh,
on
maybe that's
Claude.
it.
He
I don't
probably,
know. I don't know. I don't know.
yeah,
But anyway, thank you all very much. We'll catch you all next time. Thanks, Chris.
sounds good. That was Ron Mont. I'm Chris Ransom, and that is our Landon Nycz film session. All right, I will show you guys some of the tape of Landon Nycz until we get to 11 a.m. I'll pull up some of his tape because this is supposed to be a film session. That's what I titled the video. That is what I titled the video. So I'll show you what we were watching before we went on the air. And 13 on UMass is the player we're watching. Obviously, this film session's only 14 minutes, so we should be able to get the film session done and then still, because the hitting's there. Northeastern scored, but Landon Nycz did not give up a goal on that first shift. And there you see Nycz passes the puck to a teammate. Yeah, we'll watch the end of this shift. Believe me, I would love to watch more film on this guy, but I've got to message William about the tight end rankings. I've got to message Joey, and I've got to finish this scouting report. So, yeah. Plus, I don't know what the deal is going to be like. Yeah, I don't want to get hit with a strike, so I probably am going to end this. But yeah, But yeah, this is a pretty productive film session. I don't know why the numbers on X are not showing up, but yeah, Landon Nycz. I can retitle this Landon Nycz scouting report. I'm gonna retitle this to Landon Nycz scouting report. Okay, I can't. All right, no, I can't retitle it while I'm live. All right, that's fine. But yeah, Landon Nycz. We are going to get his scouting report up on Draft Prospect Hockey. That'll be up today. And I've got him in the late first. Ron's got him in the early second. So, yeah. We'll see you guys. Tight end ranking.